Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a beautiful day and that you're enjoying your cup of Joe and your Juxtaposition 1 mug. If you don't have one of these, follow the links below to send me some money to my P.O. box. Get yourself a Juxtaposition mug. All right. It also handles adult beverages. Today's video is entitled Jesse the Steroid Body Ventura. Let me repeat. Jesse the Steroid Body Ventura. It's part of my zero trust policy and my zero trust expose of criminals that you should ignore, odious creatures in the mainstream media. Here's the short list. Joe Rogan. If you're following Joe Rogan, you need to get a psychiatric drug therapy program going. Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, Stupider Peters, born on April Fool's Day in Minnesota, where Jesse Ventura is from. Jesse Ventura, whose real name is James Janos, James George Janos, James Janos. That's who we're talking about today. Jimmy Janos. Okay. He has been married to the same woman since 1975. So I'm not going to be talking about philandering or divorce. But I am going to talk about the short list of people to be ignored, censored, deleted. Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, Stupider Peters, Oliver Silverstein Stone, living on Mandeville Canyon over there in Brentwood. Richard Gage of the 9/11 Truther Movement, formerly of there. He's separated from them. Richard Gage, a Department of Energy babysitter for people getting dissolving sutures in heart surgeries. Arnold Screw Your Freedom Schwarzenegger, who shares many of the same military code of conduct beliefs that, as does Jesse the Steroid Body Ventura does. All right. Victor Davis Hanson of the Hoover Institute in Palo Alto, Stanford University campus. All right. To be ignored and deleted. Victor Hanson. A raisin farmer from Selma, Fresno County, but he doesn't spend any time out there. He's got chemtrail aluminum chalk all over his orchards. Then you got Andrew Napolitano, a gay former judge who commits felony crimes from the bench when he was a judge. He would make deals for sex for deals, sexual harassment. All right. Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, Dr. Drew, Dr. Ruth, all COINTELPRO counterintelligence fools with TV shows to be ignored. Donald Trump, Joey Biden, Kamala Harris, Kamala word salad, cackling cacophony of chaos, Kamala Harris, who Jesse Ventura endorsed for president. He endorses Democratic cackling cacophonies of chaos. What a retard Jesse Ventura is, right? Ron DeSantis, he's a Republican possibility for president, right? He's a Navy intelligence spook, just like Jesse Ventura. All right. Then we have Gavin Newsom, who can't complete a full sentence because he has dyslexia. Howard Stern, who pimps out the vaccine and social distancing on his shrinking, contracting show with Sirius XM. All right. Barbara Boxer. Willie Brown, the sugar daddy to Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris's sugar baby, and her married sugar daddy was Willie Brown, who was a Speaker of the House for the California State Assembly when he was the sugar daddy of Kamala Word Salad Harris. Jerry Brown, Jerry Moonbeam Brown, not to be confused with Willie Brown. And we have Nancy Pelosi and her drunken husband, Paul Pelosi, Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity. They all pimped out the vaccine. They're all COVID pimps, too. Rachel Madcow of MSNBC, Maria Bartoloma, another odious person. All people who appear on television, even people who I've met, who I've had dinner with, they're odious, too. Like David Faber of MSNBC. He has a very beautiful wife, or had one. I don't know if they're still married or not. That was at the Slanted Door restaurant in San Francisco. But he should have quit a long time ago. I mean, he seemed like a nice enough fellow, but he works for a criminal organization. At that time, it was General Electric who owned MSNBC. I believe it's been spun off since then. Anyway, it's all part of the zero trust reality that we live in. They want you to be vaccinated and have a real ID verified. But I'm telling you, I don't know who they are. Jesse Ventura, aka James George Janos, he was born in July 15th, 1951. That makes him 75 years old today. Let's bring up a photograph of him whilst I talk about him, not behind his back, but in fact in front of him. This is Jesse, the steroid body Ventura, meaning he stands 6'2". I believe I read somewhere he was 6'4". He's 6'2". He weighs 245 to 250 pounds. And he's taken a boatload of steroids, probably beginning in the United States Navy is where I believe he would have started his steroid program. He's a high school graduate. He graduated from Rosevelt High School in Minnesota. He did go to community college after he was in the Navy and after he was a professional wrestler, which all professional wrestlers take steroids and amphetamines. There are no exceptions. 100% of all wrestlers take drugs and hormones, like Bruce Jenner. He takes drugs and hormones too. Drugs are things like morphine, heroin, cocaine, caffeine. Those are narcotics, right? Stimulants, ADD, Ritalin, attention deficit disorder, those are narcotics. But the main products that are taken by athletes who are trying to grow their bodies in a human augmentation fashion, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jesse Ventura, is they take testosterone, female fertility hormones, insulin and glucose, or growth hormones. Growth hormones are essentially insulin growth factor. So there's not really any difference between taking glucose with insulin or just taking growth hormones. It's very similar recipe. And luteinization drugs, because your body goes haywire when you start overloading the hormone levels. Anyway, Jesse Ventura graduated from high school in 1969, the year that Sharon Tate and Abigail Folger were murdered and the years that the Zodiac killings were raging. 1969, Jesse Ventura would have graduated in June 1969. He, quick like a bunny rabbit, enlisted in the United States Navy. He enlisted effective December 1st, 1969. Now, Jesse's family has a long history with the military, World War II service, etc. So he grew up in an indoctrinated family where they all believed in patriotism, standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, standing for the national anthem, that kind of thing. In other words, delusional, very delusional, not understanding that Switzerland runs the world, not the president of the United States, not Dwight Eisenhower, not John Kennedy, not LBJ. But anyway, be that as it may, I understand that Jesse was, James Janos was as clueless as most graduates from Rosevelt High School in Minnesota were. Anyway, joined the Navy. This would be during the Vietnam War. However, Jesse did not participate in the Vietnam War, although he did receive a Vietnam Service Medal, VSM. He did receive one, but he was moored and centered out of Subic Bay, the Philippines, which most Navy personnel do roll through Subic Bay in the Philippines. And that was his home base, and he would go around and cruise the South China Sea. Now, Wikipedia will tell you that he served in the Mekong Delta, but there's nothing to do there. He is part of what they call the Navy SEALs underwater demolition team. It's called Underwater Demolition Team number 12, I believe. And he was also eventually assigned to Navy SEAL Team 1. But I don't believe there's any port authorities to mine in the Mekong Delta. So anyway, he primarily cruised the Pacific, trying to think about ways to become a movie star or a wrestling star. Anyway, he did 2 years in the Navy, and then he transitioned into the reserve, and he did 3 years as a Navy reserve. His rank in the United States Navy at all times was, well, at the end of his 2 years, he was a petty officer 3, category class 3, petty officer. He wasn't a chief petty officer. So he's very, very low on the obelisk, right? Remember the chain of command that we all follow? That everybody who stands for the Pledge of Allegiance is pledging their allegiance to Switzerland, Geneva, global governance. And when Jesse Ventura was pledging his allegiance, he was pledging to Geneva. All right, Jesse Ventura. Okay, whilst he was in the Navy reserves, which would be 1973 to 1975, he joined the San Diego South Bay chapter of the Mongols Motorcycle Club, which is really his true calling. This is where Jesse Ventura transitions from being a petty officer and becoming a counterintelligence infiltrated person. All the motorcycle clubs like the Hells Angels and the Straight Satans and the Satan Slaves and the Mongols, they're 100% controlled by the NATO military forces. They're military operations, undercover, and you don't wear a uniform. And so a clueless high school boy like James Janos can easily be placed into the Mongols, where he rose to the level of what they call sergeant at arms. Sergeant at arms. And if you don't know what that means, it's more of a title that you earn in a motorcycle club. It's a senior officer position. You're underneath the president. You're below the president, but you are part of their inner circle of trust. You are the person who's supposed to be in charge of security, enforcing the rules and bylaws of the club. Basically, it involves decorum at the meeting so people don't blurt out that they are recognized before they speak. The sergeant at arms has the ability to fine members, $5, $10 when they break a rule of decorum. That's typically the role. I personally been an acting sergeant at arms a few times. Mostly yours truly has always been the treasurer. I never wanted to be president. I said if elected, I would not serve. If nominated, I would not run. But because of my finance background, I became the treasurer many times in both accounting clubs and 2030 service clubs, which is not a motorcycle club, but is like a junior man's Rotary or a Kiwanis club for people in their 20s and 30s. I was a treasurer for many years in the 2030 club. I admit it. All right. So anyway, Jesse Ventura, the steroid body, who is building his body, getting ready for a wrestling career, is also riding a Harley-Davidson motorcycle around San Diego County with the Mongols. And they deal in drugs and weapons. So Jesse would be familiar with both drugs and weapons. And he is, because what are some of the tenets of thinking and pillars of belief? The pillars of poppycock that Jesse believes in? I think we all know, right? We all know. This guy believes in cigar smoking, right? I got a photograph of him smoking a cigar. He loves to smoke cigars, which I think is a disgusting habit. Here he is smoking a cigar. Now, it got cropped off, so let's forget about that. He promotes cannabis sales. He does promote cannabis. Here he is clapping for the governor of Minnesota, who has just signed a cannabis bill. That's fine. That's like selling whiskey and wine, right? I mean, I'm in favor of whiskey and wine, and I don't have a problem with cannabis, but it is a pacification and control device. Timothy Leary believes in smoking weed too, right? Tune in, turn on, drop out. He also believes in psilocybin products and dropping acid, LSD. So Jesse Ventura is very much aligned with Timothy Leary. He wants to expand his brain. He wants to smoke cigars. He wants to inject testosterone, insulin, growth hormones to make his muscles bigger. He believes in human augmentation. He believes in endorsing fraudulent philanderers like RFKJ, Robert Francis Kennedy Jr. Here he is shaking the hands of Jesse the Steroid Body Ventura. It would appear that RFKJ also is a steroid addict himself. Two steroid buddies kicking it around, right? So Jesse believes in doping. He believes in hormone therapy. He believes in the COVID pandemic. He believes in the COVID plandemic. He believes in the untested vaccine. And Jesse pimped out the vaccine on Russian television America. He even suggested that the government should pay people $1,000 to bribe them to take the COVID vaccine, thus killing two birds with one stone. One is you're getting more people vaccinated, and number two is you're giving economic stimulus to bribe the person to get vaccinated. He said, don't give him a donut, give him $1,000 cash. That's Jesse Ventura. Now, I'm pretty sure he didn't think of that all by himself. Somebody wrote that up, and he repeated it on media outlets. And he endorsed Kamala Harris for president. He endorsed the COVID jab. He basically implied that not unvaccinated people were cowards and also a threat to the vaccinated community, which of course is completely illogical, but that's no different than Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly said the same things. Arnold Schwarzenegger said the same things. Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, Dr. Drew, they were all pro-vaccine. They weren't anti-vaccine. No one was anti-vax. Trump, he's Operation Warp Speed. Biden, Harris, they're all pro-vaccine. Nancy Pelosi, she's for it, but she doesn't wear her face diaper when she's reciting the vows for Ivy Love Getty. So you see, these people are for the vaccine, but they're all hypocrites because they don't comply with their own BS. They want you to obey the obelisk, the chain of command, that Jesse Ventura wants you to think he's more influential than you, he's more important than you, and he's more intelligent than you are. Yeah, a guy who takes drugs and wears bikini shorts, flexes his muscle, and engages in fake wrestling where the match is already determined before he enters the ring. Like, his whole life is based on fakeness and lying. He's an actor. He's a screen actor. He appeared with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the film Predator, did he not? Yes, he did. All right, it's all part of my zero trust. I don't trust liars, and actors are liars. And that includes George W. Bush, and that includes the clueless clown from Minnesota, James Janos. James George Janos, a.k.a. Jesse the Steroid Body Ventura. He got the nickname The Body when he was wrestling with the American Wrestling Association before he switched over to the World Wrestling Association. He was known as The Body, but we know his body was created by steroid abuse. So without the steroids, there would be no Body Ventura. There'd be a skinny 6'2" athlete. But anyway, you know, those days are gone. Jesse's all about smoking cigars and maybe drinking some wine, maybe smoking some weed and chilling, right? That you need to go out and get a COVID shot. That's what he's all about. You should do what I say. Not what I do, but what I say you should do. That's Jesse the Steroid Body. Does he sound like Joe Scarborough? Does he sound like Mika Brzezinski? Does he sound like a hypocrite? Does he sound like Tucker Carlson? Does he sound like Oliver Silverstein Stone? Does he sound like Glenn Greenwald or Edward Snowden or Putin? Does he sound like Trump? Does he sound like Nancy Pelosi and Barbara Boxer? Does he sound like word salad Kamala Harris? He endorses Kamala Harris for president of the United States. This idiot, this imbecile, this chicken hawk who never saw battle in Vietnam. He never, ever was in combat, ever. And he acts like a tough guy and that you need to put your big briefs on and get vaccinated. I am done with people like Jesse the Steroid Body Ventura lecturing me from RT Russian television America. and people like Sean Stone, Silverstein, telling you his little pseudo documentaries about Satanism and occultism when he and his entire family are part of a cult. It's called NATO. The cult is NATO, and it's masqueraded under the entertainment umbrella of NATO. But make no mistake, Oliver Silverstein Stone of Yale University and New York University, they are counterintelligence operatives working for NATO. And so is this person. You can't find a more unpatriotic person than Jesse Ventura. He's not patriotic at all. His allegiance is to Geneva Global Governance. He was a governor of Minnesota. That's a disgrace. Wasn't Al Franken a senator from Minnesota? He's an unfunny Jewish comedian for Saturday Night Live that wrote jokes that weren't funny, and was also a senator from Minnesota, which is where the tattooed rapper Stu Peters is from, Minnesota. I mean, how many criminals come out of Minnesota? It's rather embarrassing. All right, that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Jesse Ventura is a fraud. He is counterintelligence. He's to be ignored. He's just another node on the network, and the network is huge. It includes Rachel Madcow of MSNBC, Maria Bartoloma. It included Jack Welch. It includes Bob Iger and Michael Eisner. It includes Oliver Silverstein and Sean Stone Silverstein. And it includes Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, Dr. Drew. It includes Adam Carolla, Rachel Madcow, and Megyn Kelly, and James Woods, and Gene Simmons, and Neil Young, and the Esalen Institute of Crack Cocaine, Barbara Boxer, and Nancy Pelosi, and let's not forget DUI driving, Maserati crashing, Porsche 11 Carrera crasher, Paul Pelosi. Thanks for listening. Do like and share my videos. I am heavily shadow banned. We'll see you on the other side. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.